Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Royce Hodnett. I'm the program manager for the Leadership Coaching Program, and I'm joined by my colleagues at NAS and members of our coaching collectives who will introduce themselves in a moment. But we're so excited to have you here and so excited to share with you about coaching today. We hope that you'll leave this session with a deeper understanding of coaching and its usefulness as a tool to support change. But before we get to that, I want to begin with a land acknowledgement, recognizing the history that we're all physically on right now. My family and I have recently just moved, and with that move, it gave me another opportunity to dig in into who are the native people that occupied this land before I did. And now I am currently living on land that was once lived on by the NACO people. And if you know the native people that lived on the land where you reside, I welcome you to take a look at this website here. I'm going to put it in the chat so you can learn more about that. So thank you for being here once again, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Gail.
Thank you, Royce. Well, I'm joining Royce also and all of our colleagues and welcome you to the space, and thank you for making time in your busy days to join us. I want to start with just who I am. So I am Gail Kreider. I'm president and CEO of NAS with a background in rural and urban community development and funding, as well as program design towards capacity building. I'm a coach because I believe that leaders, present and future, deserve a safe, supportive space to reflect, take a breath, and sort and test ideas. So here's a quick overview of our time together today. We'll give you a bit of background on who we are, as we've modeled, and why we coach. We're going to share some stories of impact from different viewpoints. We're going to look at barriers to coaching. What is coaching as well? We'll answer any questions you have about coaching, about the process, and particularly our collaborative. So let me start with sharing a slide that starts with the why, a space that we like to start. For those of you who may not know NAS, we're all about supporting leaders who are inspiring and leading change. And while other sectors have had accessible coaching for decades, arts and culture has really been left behind due to both a lack of affordable coaches and coaches possessing expertise in the field. So, wow, y'all, I guess it's been about 3 years ago when we decided to start this process of developing a program for training coaches. And we developed coaching for the field for a multitude of reasons, 6 of which I'll share with you briefly, to support leaders, present and future, through change, to make coaching affordable and accessible, to create a collective of coaches who center equity as a core value, who look like the field and have field expertise, to add another level of integrated support for artists and organizational leaders that need time for reflection. That is so often a space that we don't have. To meet coaches where they are and work alongside them to meet coachees, excuse me, to work alongside them as they identify and overcome challenges, gain perspective, and build strengths. And to add data and learning to the field that would be open, tracking the impact of coaches on individuals and communities. So the next slide is why NAS coaches. Well, it's a little bit of the background. In September of last year, 20 arts and culture leaders completed the NAS coaching program, creating the first ever cohort of coaches specializing in arts and culture and trained with an equity lens. And to this group, 2 other coaches joined who are certified and share the commitment to equity and supporting meaningful change in our field. This collective is not only unique for their expertise in the field, but that through NAS, they will continue to train in equity, systems coaching, and other models that support change, both at personal and collective levels. So now I want to turn it over to my colleague, Darren, to talk more about what is coaching, and our colleague, Susan, about why people might seek it out. Darren?
Thank you, Gail. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Darren Dudley. I am the Director of Learning, Evaluation, and Engagement. So a little bit about why I coach. I coach because I love asking people questions, and I love to see the transformation that happens when that light bulb goes off because you've asked a really powerful question and they've had to go through some deep reflection. So I just love to watch as people transform and become, the best versions of themselves. So I want to take a moment for us to talk about, well, what is coaching? And so the way we define coaching is a thought-provoking and co-creative process where you and a coach embark on a journey of self-discovery to inspire you to maximize your personal and professional potential. So a lot of times people get confused with coaching because they don't really understand what coaching is, and they don't understand how it differs from other services like a consultant, a mentor, and a therapist. And so I like to use this 2x2 here as a better way to help people understand what coaching is and how it is different from these other areas. And so if you look at this, it's kind of like on a continuum. So on one continuum, we have asking versus telling. So this means that the person you're working with is really focused either on asking questions to generate understanding, or they are telling you what they know from their own personal experience. And then on the other continuum, we have problem versus solution. This just means that the individual is more focused either on understanding what the problem is or just going straight to providing a solution. So as you can see on this 2x2, a coach asks questions in order to draw out and leverage the expertise of their client. So they are more focused on getting the client to understand the problem before jumping in and figuring out a way to solve it. So a consultant, on the other hand, tells others what their problems are and then offers solutions based on their own experiences. Meanwhile, you have a therapist who, like a coach, asks questions, albeit for just a different reason. Therapists are more focused on diagnosing what has happened and offering a solution for the past, whereas coaches are much more forward thinking. And so lastly, mentors tell others what to do based on their own experience. So this is just a little bit of we hope that gives you a better understanding of what is the difference between a coach, a therapist, a consultant, and a mentor. And so over the last year and a half, we've gathered a lot of data with our coaching practice. And we realized that, clients come to coaching for a myriad of reasons. But the data that we've gathered, we were able to see some themes. Like during this time and right now, people are coming to coaches for some pretty specific reasons. And so we kind of averaged all the data. And so I just kind of wanted to go do a brief summary of what many people come to coaching for, and then what they are able to achieve as a result of their coaching. So out of all the data that we gathered, the most frequently mentioned reason why clients come to coaching is to get direction and clarity on where they are and where they want to go in the next phase of their career or their life. They also want a safe space to vent and just think critically about their work, free of judgment, right? A coach is not here to judge, but here to guide you. Clients want to better understand the challenges they are facing, and then try to, talk with someone to help them figure out what are going to be the best strategies for how to work through those challenges. Clients come to coaching to set goals and to develop a plan to work toward them. I know a lot of us struggle with doing that on our own. And so it really is helpful to really have somebody to help you set a goal and then hold you accountable to doing the things that you said you would do. Clients also come to coaching to gain self-awareness. They want to understand what are really their strengths and how they can actually leverage them. And they want to build their capacity with their staff and relationship management and increase their confidence in their own leadership ability. So we also collected data on what were clients able to gain from their coaching? And what we found is that they were able to get, able to achieve everything that they set out to achieve and so much more. They were able to, there were a myriad of unintended positive consequences as a result of coaching. So as a result of coaching, clients have said that they feel less overwhelmed and have a greater work-life balance. They have greater confidence in their own leadership ability. They have a clearer sense of direction and purpose for their life and especially their professional lives. And and they have a better understanding of self, as really particularly as it relates to like their own values and their own strengths. And they are more aware of their own biases and how to actually check them, but they also know how to extend themselves grace. Clients have been better able to manage their emotions, especially as it relates to receiving critical feedback and having difficult conversations. And as a result of coaching, clients have a better understanding of their staff and their organizational needs, and then they are better able to implement new strategy in relation to those needs. So that's just a brief overview of what the data has shown us so far about why clients come to coaching and what they're able to achieve as a result of coaching. So now I'm going to kick it off to Susan. And she's going to talk a little bit about some of the barriers that we've seen for people not wanting to come to coaching, but also why it is so important in this time and so relevant in this moment to be able to get past those barriers and actually, engage in a coaching process. So just a little bit of a caveat, Susan is having some technical difficulties, so bear with us, but we will all be here to help her out in this. So Susan, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to you.
Thanks, Darren. Thanks so much. Can you see me and can you hear me? The most important thing. Thank you. I'm coming to you from my phone. This is the first time I've Zoomed by phone, but if it's working, great. So thank you all for joining us today. It's so exciting to see you here. It's exciting for me personally because I coach, because I understand how transformational coaching can be and how transformational coaching has been for me personally. From a personal standpoint, I'll tell you that several years ago, I have been the CEO of an arts and humanities local arts agency for about 13 years. Because as I say, the creator has an incredible sense of humor. I joined in September 2008, and less than 30 days later, Wall Street failed, and we had one of the biggest recessions since the Great Depression. As a new CEO, I came into the job with a brand new strategic plan that I was told that I was hired to implement. But at that moment, there were all kinds of new challenges that made their presence known to me, that made the implementation of the strategic plan that the former CEO and board had worked on very, very challenging. As I worked through the challenges, sometimes I felt pretty alone. And at one point, my board suggested that I would get an executive coach. So as I talk to you today a little bit about barriers to coaching, I want you to know how insulted I was to think that my board, who had just hired me, thought I needed coaching. First of all, I just thought this seems punitive. I don't think that I want to accept this offer because I'm not certain that they understand what my power is. So one of the barriers to coaching is that people might feel that it's punitive. Another barrier to coaching might feel, and I wondered whether, as the CEO of a local arts agency, if I was really in line for coaching, if I was the type of leader that really needed coaching. I understood and I had read through many business journals that other CEOs of for-profits often used coaching to help them problem solve, but I wasn't really certain that it would be right for me. So the second thing is not only did I think maybe it was punitive, but it didn't feel like it was right for me. Third, I hadn't heard about lots of other leaders of color who had been able to leverage coaching to help them strengthen their practice. And so there weren't a lot of models for me to see. And so I really didn't feel like it might be for me. Third, I wasn't sure what would be accomplished because I didn't understand that explanation that Darren just provided us all about the difference between mentoring and coaching and consulting. I wondered whether or not coaching could really be right for me. And then I guess lastly, I wondered whether or not it would work and whether or not it would be just an investment in futility. And at the end of the day, I'd still have to do the stuff that I was already doing. What kind of burden would it place on me? So for my own personal journey, I want you to know that when I was able to find a coach, have that exploratory session, realize I could have chemistry with that person, I worked with that coach over the next several years as she helped me carefully navigate a very difficult terrain as we looked at the arts and culture sector and the opportunities to rebound after the Great Recession. So if you are worried about whether or not coaching might be punitive, whether or not you are the right person to be coached, whether or not there's anyone out there who could really walk that leadership walk with you, and whether or not you think that coaching is something that's just for others and not for you, if I can do anything at all, I'd like to dispel those notions today and tell you that coaching is for you, that we are here and excited to walk this leadership path right next to you, helping you achieve your goals. Coaching has been transformational in my life personally and in my career professionally. I know how well it's worked for me in helping me achieve some of my goals, and I know that coaching can work for you. So let's see where we are time-wise. Sunny, Darren, can you let me know? I think we're pretty close to where we need to be. I'm not sure if there's any other barriers that I should be discussing because my internet isn't up. I'm not able to have my notes in front of me. So Darren, Sunny, Gail, if there's something I've missed, please chime in.
Yes, and so somebody posted in the chat cost, and cost for sure. Actually, that's something that we talk about in our coaching collective very, very often, because we do want to make sure that that is not a barrier. And for many, the cost can be a barrier, right? A personal coach can be upwards of $300 a session. Here with us at NAS, we have and are pushing to make sure it is as affordable as possible. So, especially if you're paying out of pocket. So we know sometimes, you have maybe some professional development dollars in your organization that can kind of help offset that. But that's not everybody's testimony. That's not everybody's story. So we do, and we have worked really hard to make sure that we can keep the cost really, really, really affordable. And we're still working on ways to being able to make it even more affordable.
Right. And thank you, Darren. Yes, cost is a consideration. Lucky for me, there were professional development funds available in my organization, and I leveraged those professional development funds both for my fellowship with NAS. Full disclosure, I'm a graduate of the Chief Executive Program through NAS and also through the coaching program. So if you are a leader and you do a lot professional development dollars, here's a great way to do that. But also know that coaches are eager to walk this walk with you. And if you contact your coach, I know for a fact, my own personal coach, my mentor coach, my supervisor coach, all of them have worked with me through this situation to make sure that cost was not a barrier on top of all of those others that I mentioned to you that were either real or perceived, that cost was not a barrier that kept me from becoming my best leadership self. All right, so I think we are really at time. So I'm going to throw it over to Chris. Unless there's other questions, I'll throw it over to Christina.
Hello. Thank you, Susan. Hi, my name is Christina Littlejohn. I am the CEO of Arkansas Symphony Orchestra, and I've been here for 11 seasons now. I too had a coach and years ago, and it was such a gift to me. Like Susan, I could relate to that. I need a coach, but I did need a coach. And once I had a coach, I realized what a gift it was. As a CEO of the company, of an orchestra, this coach provided me a safe space. So one of the joys and gifts was a space where I could think out loud. It was a judge-free zone, and no one had a dog in the fight. Like, I didn't have to worry about what I was saying. Would it affect the music or the board or the community? Or it's a space that's a totally safe space for me. And then with the coach, I was able to see what was within my control. The coach did, through questioning, really helped me get unstuck and see what I could control, what was within my power, and look at things from a different viewpoint, 20,000 viewpoint, what have you, and go, oh, okay, maybe this is possible. Because there's certain times where you just feel like the world is just sitting on you and you can't move. And the coach really gave me that breath to go, oh, wait, there's a whole other world out here. And how can I navigate this? Other lovely thing about the coach is the coach doesn't tell me what to do. The coach just asks me questions and reminds me that all the answers are here. They're in here. I know what I'm doing, but I just need the right questions to help me see that. And so when I got the chance to become a coach through NAS, I jumped at that chance because I really wanted to be able to give that gift to others. And the gift is a gift of energy, a gift of staying in the space. And so I wanted to be able to give that gift to other arts leaders because we need so many good people in the arts. Like if you care about it, we need people to stay in our field. So it's been a joy to learn how to train to be a coach. And then as I thought about that gift, I thought, well, who do I care most about in terms of sharing this gift with? And it was, the senior staff of the Arkansas Symphony. Who do I need to make sure that they're growing? And so I feel as a CEO, it's really my responsibility to make sure that the team grows in a way that they want to grow in and that they get the chance to grow in a safe space as well. I also really hate hiring people. I hate the process of trying to find the right person to fit the right team. So the more I can hang on to the talented people that care about the organization and help them want to stay and show them that I care about them, the better. And so I've hired coaches for two people, and the results have been fantastic. They've grown into much stronger leaders, which lightens the load on me. And it gives them, they get to grow as leaders, so they get to grow and they want to stick around, which is helpful. And then it also helps with, they take on a lot of the heavy lifting so that I can spend more time working in the community or doing different projects on the external side. The other thing is because we're all, the other fun thing is we can fail forward. We're all spending our time looking at ways to do things better and improve things and new things that we can do for the community. So it really helps on the efficiency side. They're growing, they're becoming stronger leaders, and we can move things, our goals and our strategies forward for the community a lot faster. So for me, it's a win for the community as well, because we're able to spend our time serving the community instead of having to spend our time hiring new people, training people, grieving the people that we've lost because we didn't take the time to care about them and give them what they needed. So I am a big proponent of coaching, but also in hiring coaches to help the people around you so that they can become stronger and stick by your side. I think that is, well, I'm going to kick it off to Boots now.
Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for having me here and let me speak to you, this group. This is amazing. I'm a documentary filmmaker. I live in Oklahoma City. I'm a member of the Kiowa tribe of Oklahoma, so I'm Native American. My family's Apatone family. And, a lot of what I do as a personal, who I am as a character, as a person, as a Native person, as a tribal member, we really try to do for our communities, and our communities are the most important things to us. So to live a selfless type of life has always been kind of taught into me. There's nothing that grounds you down to, being selfish more than material gains and things like that. So it's always been for me to give back to my communities, and documentary filmmaking has allowed me to do that. I've always been kind of a shy person, and to be able to reach out beyond my who I am, the barriers of who I am, and to actually allow my voice to get beyond my own scope. Documentaries has done that and allowed me to do that. I try not to, I'm not here to be famous. I'm not here to self-gratify myself, get pats on the back. And I don't think anybody's, who truly has a selfless kind of spirit is like that. So coaching I see this as almost a natural extension of myself. When I go into a situation when doing documentaries, I have to really befriend people quickly. I have to earn their trust quickly. A lot of the same skills in coaching. I have to know a subject or read people, their body language. If they're hungry, do they need to go eat? Are we speaking to elders? Maybe we speak for a couple hours even before we get on camera, and then, they're hungry, so they got to go eat. Same thing in coaching, or read people's body language, or read who you are. And we really try not to, we don't pass judgment, but the thing is that we try to get to the core of what's holding you back as a professional. And I'll tell you a quick story. I know my time's limited. A quick story of one of my coachees. This is a girl, I'll try not to mention name, a girl who worked as a teacher, as a elementary school teacher, and very passionate about this. But and she was always been an artist all through her life, high school, elementary school, even when she was a child. And she wanted to continue in that vein, but there was things holding her back. And a lot of things that hold you back are, root core of personality. Sometimes it's childhood, sometimes relationships. A lot of things that she had, we kind of discovered, through mutual communication, is that she had a domineering mother in a sense. And so I think to reach out beyond that, she really was trying to become herself in a way. And through her art, that allowed her to do that. So we came to, through the coaching process, she really found herself a kind of mid-level, to where she can work professionally in the organization she wants to, educational organizations, but also she allows her enough time, part-time for this, but also allows her part-time and her own time to be an artist. So there was this huge development in her, and she just grew. It's unbelievable how she became somewhat of not being able to talk in front of people and communicate themselves or herself in front of groups of people, into someone that grew into this artist that's able to speak about her work. And she does these public displays of kind of like mural type pieces. So they're really public installations, and she really incorporates the community in these pieces of hers. And the thing is that her success leads to other people's success. It's like this web of this tribe that she's creating around her, and it's just this positive energy affecting each other. I work a lot in the PBS system and different things, and there's always this commercial on PBS. It's like a short commercial, where someone shares an idea with someone, and it's like a blue bubble around their heads, and this other person has this blue bubble and takes it to another person that shares that. Then this teacher shares it with their classroom, these blue bubbles. And the last shot is all these kids running out of the school with these blue bubbles and these ideas, and they're spreading out into the world. And that's how I see coaching, as this positive impact. And I feel that I'm very pragmatic in a lot of ways, and I thought coaching was kind of was it a sham or what it is? But the way we learned is to trust in the process. We trust in the process, and I just cannot believe some of the outcomes that we've had with some of the clients. And I'm just like, these are the things that just like drive me to really kind of work with people. This is the same things that drive me to work in documentaries and to really try to make an impact with my documentaries. But it's more, for me, it's good because I see that one-on-one, that development, instead of documentaries throwing it out there to the world. I see that personal development, and that's just so special. And I hope that for y'all interested in this, that you really consider having a coach. And I think it'd be very, very helpful in your careers. And it has mine. We have our own coaches, so in our developments, it's not only helped my development, but it's coaching has really helped impact who I am as a person. So thank you for allowing me to talk. I don't know who I throw it to.
It's me, I'll catch it.
Okay.
Thanks, Boots. That was great. Thank you for sharing. Folks, nice to see you all today. Thank you for joining us. My name is Sunny. I'm a director at NAS. I use the pronouns she, her, and I live in Maryland. Very briefly, what I love about coaching, I actually am focused on coaching the next generation of leaders. Many of my clients are at mid-level or senior level in their organizations, or entrepreneurs who are out building their own organizations and doing things really differently. And so I just wanted to highlight that, because on this call, we've talked a lot about, coaching for executives. And it's a really important thing to also focus on that next level. And I think that coaching is so key for the development of our next generation of leaders, because frankly, any kind of leadership development that's really just focused on telling and prescribing solutions is not what we need in this moment, because the solutions and problem solving of yesterday, they're not fit for the issues that we have today and the problems that we're faced with in our world right now. I really believe in this next generation of leaders to come up with those solutions on their own. And so they don't need us to tell us what those solutions are. They need support in unlocking what I know already is inside them, because I've seen that in my clients who are in that demographic. So with that, I would love to hand it over to you who've joined on the call today to ask any questions that you came to this session with, or that might have come up to for you over the course of this 40 minutes that we've spent together thus far. So you're welcome to pop your questions into the chat, or take yourself off mute if you prefer.
Sunny, I just wanted to add for a second, if I could. You can hear me.
We can, yeah.
For a second, this last point that you made, especially right now, everyone. So as I mentioned to you, my board recommended that I get a coach as I was trying to move through the Great Recession that we had in 2008. And I see that this is another really pivotal moment. So I just wanted to talk about what you just said, Sunny, and say that here we are moving through the pandemic, and everybody is wondering what's on the other side of this. When we hear from scientists, we understand that the other side of this may be a very, very, very long tail versus a stop and start. We're not going to end the way we began this. I think it's going to be a very long tail for a while. And so being able to process and move through the long tail, like had to be done during 2008, as we tried to figure out how to move through that uncertainty, that for me was such a great critical inflection point to realize that coaching helped me through it. That's why I think this moment is now for coaching and for you.
Thanks, Susan. 100% agree. Okay, so we've got some questions coming up in the chat. Jim, great question. What's the matchmaking process like? So the match and having the right match between a client and a coach is really important. And so we, first of all, post all of the bios of our coaches on the website. And so as a first step, we ask you to browse through those and see if there's anything in particular that appeals to you about a particular coach. In the interest form, the coach request form that's on our website, you can specify if there's one or several coaches on that list that are of particular interest to you. And if you don't know, that's also okay. That form will ask you about what kind of goals you're working towards, what kinds of things might be important to you about a coaching match, and then NAS can make some suggestions. We know all these coaches very, very well. As Gail mentioned, we've been working with them, at least 2 years in the case of many of them, such as, Susan, Christina, and Boots, we worked with in other programs for many, many years. So we can make suggestions. And then the most important part is what we call a chemistry call. So if you're interested in working with a coach and learning more, we will set you up on a chemistry call to see just how you're clicking, find out more about that coach. You can answer questions specific to that coach, and they'll have some questions for you. And then you and that coach would assess whether it's going to be a good match or whether maybe you should have a chemistry call with another coach. And that's the flow of it. A lot of care to make sure that that is a good match. Okay, so Emily has a question about thoughts on timeline of programs we offer, coaching versus executive programs. In terms of timeline, Emily, can you say a bit more about the timeline?
That wasn't very clear. I guess I'm just wondering, at the sort of mid-level or leadership levels that, you were talking about, coaching, like jumping into the coaching program versus thinking about one of the kind of more tailored executive programs. And I heard Susan mention that you've been through the executive program and also have had coaching. And so I'm just wondering kind of thoughts on which one comes first, or if it matters, or those kinds of things.
That's a great question, Emily. Yeah, Susan's been through our chief executive program. And I would say, they're very different experiences. The coaching really is one-on-one. So if you are going to engage with a coach, it's just you and that coach. You're not in a learning program in terms of faculty directed courses, and you're not with a peer group. So in terms of your own development and where you are in your career and what to choose, honestly, it really doesn't matter. Coaching can be effective at reaching your goals, whether you are entry level in your job or a senior leader or a board member. It's more about, do you have an idea of, what is the goal that you want to reach? And do you think that one-on-one support in coaching would be a good way to learn that? If you're more interested in, being a part of a cohort with peers and learning from faculty, that would be one of our other programs. Did that answer your question, Emily? Did that get it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I'll just add one thing to that too, Emily.
Yeah.
That also what we've been finding is that coaching can be really effective when it is paired with other professional development opportunities. So not necessarily to say that you have to do coaching and the chief executive program or, whatever, but we have been finding more and more that as people go through other, training development opportunities, coaching is a really good thing to actually pair with that. Because you're able to take what you're learning from those programs and dig a little deeper and figure out how does this work in your own, in your own situation, in your own context.
It's kind of interesting. You asked about the executive program and arts and culture strategy. I've worked with some clients before who have brought the learnings that they had in that program, some of the frameworks they used, and then we worked on their experience of applying those strategies one-on-one in our coaching sessions. So to speak to Darren's point, yeah, it's very well paired. What else, folks?
I'm interested in hearing from those of you on the call today who have ever been, have had coaching before. Is there a way that we can have a show of hands maybe? You can go down to the reactions and you can either put your hand up or is this a new idea for you? Yeah. And what about, I'm also interested in hearing about some of those barriers that I mentioned. Are those any of the things that it might have crossed your mind about why coaching might not be for you? Anita says it's a new idea for her. Yeah. Are there coaches who are interested in supporting elders who have been in leadership a long time? I think the essence of coaching is that coaches are here for you at any phase of your development, at any phase, whether it's entry, whether it's mid-career, whether it's end career or post-career. Coaches are excellent at helping you walk the walk toward your goals at any phase of your career. And I
had several clients that they were thinking through and trying to get ready for they were planning on retiring soon. So they were getting ready for what retirement might look like, or working part-time? What goals were they going to have then? So I had several clients like that, and that was a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun to think about and a lot of fun to get excited about.
You know, Laura, you mentioned that not only are costs the barrier, but time. And I think all of us, as certainly my colleagues who are directors at NAS, and for me, a local arts agency that serves a county that is as big as some states, time is always a very precious commodity for me. But I tell you what, by investing the time in my coach, whether that's 1 hour or 2 hours a month, or 1 hour whenever I can fit it in, that time gave me more time to do other things because it helped focus me and put me on the right path. So one of the things I think, unfortunately, in our sector that I see is that we feel like we have to work for less, we have to work more than everybody else, and we have to work harder than everybody else. Let's just try to dispel those myths right here and right now today. We don't have to be that. We don't have to do that. And there's no time like the present to invest in yourself for strong leadership. And I cannot tell you how much, as a leader of color, I can't tell you how much drinking that Kool-Aid has been important to my personal and professional success.
Yeah, coaching for me really falls into the working smarter, not working longer hours. And the other thing I found, both personally and also with the staff members, is it just makes us more efficient. Like if we think about it and take the time to reflect, then that knocks out a lot of wasting time. So we can see the path a lot faster, and it just makes us it makes it easier for us to serve the community quicker and more efficiently. So it saves a lot of time.
I like it because NAS, they provide lots of different professionals, from professionals in large organizations down to like me, who work with individual artists or different groups. And I'm kind of all over the place where I work with different organizations, commercial, large organizations, or nonprofit or whatever. But the amount of talent and the amount of experience that this group has is just unbelievable. And, you know, and I think if you're in a position of leadership and you want a good coaching, you know, I mean, obviously a contemporary, another leader would probably, you know, best suit you.
There's a comment in the chat about another barrier, which is pride. And I know, Susan, you spoke to that a little bit earlier, but just wondering if anybody wanted to comment on that. Coaches, if you've had a coach yourself and maybe experiencing that barrier of pride before you got into it, or Susan, anything else you wanted to say about that? I know you mentioned that a little bit from your own experience as a CEO.
I was mad. I can't begin to tell you how mad I was. I must have just walked circles around my office like, what in the world? They have no, I mean, the neck, the shoulders, the works. I had it all. I was furious. How dare you? I was insulted. But I'll tell you that if you go to that particular coach's website, you see that there's a testimonial on there. And I said that my coach was, you know, better than my partner. And I say that in a way because your partner, a good partner, is lifting you up, always saying, yes, that's right. You're perfect in every way. A coach delves a little bit deeper and asks more questions to help you see yourself in different lights and opens doors to help you see new possibilities. So once I was able to swallow my pride, and that helps a lot when you have the great chemistry call. When you know you have the right chemistry with a coach, you don't feel as though it's punitive. You don't feel like it's negatively impacting your pride. You realize that this is someone who can walk that walk with me without judgment. It's the most freeing feeling that I have ever had. So if you could just get over that feeling just to make the appointment for the chemistry call, a good coach will help you see your way through making the decision whether or not you want to work with them or someone else or not at all. But it's just that one little tiny barrier to get over, make the call, send the email, because a good coach walks with you and doesn't judge.
Right. Well, and other thing I found with a coach is it helps hold me accountable. When I was much younger, ran a couple marathons. And one of the reasons I was able to finish that marathon is because I had a running buddy who would call and say, it's time to do that 10-mile run. And that running buddy was the one that was right there to make sure that I was getting all my training in. And so I think about that with a coach too, because the coach is holding me accountable, because sometimes change can be hard. And sometimes it's hard to say, okay, if I really want X, I need to change this about myself. And so working with a coach is, for me, was kind of like that running buddy to get me through the marathon. I really did want to accomplish this goal, but having that person that was there beside me, that was walking the walk with me, and that I knew I had to say, okay, I promised I was going to do these things, so now I'm going to do it, and I have to report back to this coach that I've done it. So that was another way the coach is helpful, is on that accountability. But for me, it's just like my running buddy. Okay, but they're going to be there right beside me the whole way through.
Thank you. Thanks, Christina. There's a little bit of conversation in the chat around cost, and someone's raised that, they've seen other coaches quoting $200, $300 a session and even more in other sectors. That's absolutely true. And I don't want to, say that this isn't an investment. It is. It's an investment of your time and of your money. And that's really important and should be considered. And I also don't want to sell this as NAS is like the bargain basement of coaching. It's not. We want to pay our coaches a fair rate. And so that's kind of where you see where our pricing has been set. We do want to make this accessible. We've worked hard to ensure that it is, but we also want to signify that this is quality. Our coaches are certified and they're well trained, and this is an investment of your time and money. And so that's kind of where we sit in terms of the funders. And then I've also seen in there, in terms of the pricing, I've also seen in the chat that there's options in terms of, applying for professional development funds. Someone put a link to the state of Maryland to help out for professional development funds. That absolutely is possible and present in a lot of different locations. There will be a funder or a state agency that can support. On our website, there's a fundraising template to help you make the argument and present your reason why coaching is important for you and for your career development and the health of your organization. So please take advantage of those resources if you are going to talk to a funder or another source about supporting your coaching needs.
And I just want to talk about self-investment. For years, one of my board members told me I have a trainer. And I remember before the pandemic, I was over at her house and I felt teary, like, oh, she can afford a trainer, but I can't. And then someone else would have a coach. Oh, they can afford a coach, but I can't. But when I really looked into it, I could afford the trainer. And when I really looked into it, I could afford coaching also. What I'm trying to say is, when you center your goals and match your intention with those centered goals, you can make it happen. And if it means just starting out, thinking about it, then trying to figure out how you're going to fit it into your schedule, an investment in you is always going to be the best investment ever.
Okay. Folks, thank you so much for being present today and for your excellent questions. We are going to come to a close. If you have any additional questions, if there's something specific to your needs, your team's needs, please don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us. There's a contact email on our website. There's also the coach request form that you can go ahead and fill out if you'd like to tell us a little bit about your goals and about what you're looking for in a coach, and maybe test it out with a chemistry call with one of our coaches. That's where you'll go for that. So I am going to hand it over to my colleague, Royce, to close our session today.
Thanks, Sunny. You about covered it. I just wanted to bring light to the opportunity that if you are interested in starting with a coach, please fill out the coaching request form there. If you're looking to get more information still about coaching, please check out our website, and we can there's information there for you, as well as Sunny mentioned, the funder template. If you're looking to get funds for professional development or from someone in your community to participate in coaching, there's information about that there as well. And if you have other questions that you don't see answered on the site, please reach out to us. You can reach out to us at coaching@archstrategies.org. That's the best way. Comes right to me, and I'll make sure that if I don't have an answer, I find the answer for you. And with that, I just want to say thank you.